My journey to coaching started as a broken-hearted 24-year-old. It was the first time anyone had ever told me no. I grew up in Philly, the youngest of three and the only girl. I never asked if I was a miracle or a mistake, but my parents, who've been together 53 years, had me right before my mom's 40th birthday. I know. When I graduated from kindergarten, my oldest brother graduated from high school, and by 11, I was the only child in the house. So I guess you can say I was a bit spoiled. Growing up, my parents always encouraged us to make our own decisions. Obviously, I chose Broadway. I danced my way into our performing arts high school and quickly learned that making it on Broadway wasn't going to be easy. This put me at a crossroad for the first time in my young life. There I was, this shy 16-year-old filling out college applications with no idea what I wanted to do with myself. And the answer never came. I got to college still unsure of what I wanted to do, which is the recipe for disaster. College afforded me a new level of freedom, and not knowing what I wanted to do gave me more time for boys. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, but I knew I wanted Alex, who eventually became my first boyfriend. We were happy, and when you're young and in love, you're crazy enough to think you can change the world. We talked a lot about the future. We decided we were going to go to law school. We decided we were going to use the law to change the world, like Thurgood Marshall. 5 years later, it's time to decide where to go to law school. I applied to 6 schools in Ohio, DC, North Carolina, and Delaware, which is right outside of Philly. When the acceptance letters came in, I sat down to have a conversation with Alex, who had another year of undergrad left, fully expecting him to tell me to go to the school in Delaware, the obvious choice because it's 25 minutes outside of Philly. And he told me not to stay for him. This is the first time anyone had ever told me no. I got my broken heart as far away from Philly as I could and went to law school in North Carolina, thinking that the distance would help. Plus, in my mind, law school is going to be full of Barack Obamas. Turns out, neither of those things were true. The distance didn't ease the pain, and I could tell from day one that nobody in my class is going to go on to be the president of the United States. So I started dating in a way that wouldn't allow me to get hurt, but it also didn't allow me to heal. It got old, and eventually I had to deal with the pain. There was a lot of crying. And when I wasn't crying, and honestly, sometimes when I was, I wrote in my journal. For months, I wrote letters to Alex, telling him everything I didn't have the courage to tell him before I left. And what started out as letters to Alex turned into just me expressing myself. And eventually, I wrote a list of everything I wasn't going to accept anymore. 2 years later, I thought I was healed and ready to date again. I got caught my last year of law school. Mike wrote me on GChat. This is back before DMs was a thing, telling me he had been checking for me for years when I had my guard too high to notice. A week later, we went out. A month later, we were together, but not together. Despite the lack of titles, I was genuinely happy. We talked a lot. I had a key. He took me out to eat a lot. I had a key. He brought me food while I was studying in the library, and I had a key. But it's my last year of law school, and I'm applying to jobs in LA, Atlanta, DC, and obviously North Carolina. But acceptance letters and job offers don't work the same. 5 months before graduation, I got offered a job in DC, and I took it without hesitation. I had to have a different conversation with Mike, who had another year of law school to do. This time, not about destination, but about distance. And he reminded me that we had to do what was best for ourselves individually. This is why being together but not together is complicated. Fast forward, I'm in DC representing the IRS, which is a long way from the NAACP. And I'm not making the change that I thought I would. This created a hole, and I struggled. My relationship with Mike changed after I left, but I was in a new city alone, so I clung to him because it was familiar. I tapped my small network at the time, trying to get him a job here, thinking that the distance was the problem. When he finally got a job here, I was excited. I had a key ready. I was convinced being in the same city again would bring us back together. But when he moved in, we didn't talk as much. We didn't go out to eat. And he didn't bring me lunch to work. 2 months in, Mike tells me he has a girlfriend. Now I'm single in a new-ish city, and I still have this hole. This starts my healing process over. Again, there was lots of crying. And after months of telling him how I felt, but this time to his face because I'm grown, I realized that I wasn't feeling any better. So I took to my journal again, this time trying to fill the hole in my heart and for my career. But there were days that my journal wasn't enough. And on one of those days, I called my friend from law school. She said, as much as you help other people, I thought you had your stuff together. We laughed, and by the end of the conversation, she recommended that I look into coaching. I prayed about it, and I enrolled into a coaching program, and here I am. I don't have my stuff together, but I do understand the importance of women supporting each other to create a life that they love. And that is why I became a coach.